Hey everybody, welcome back to Paul Does Magic. It's your old buddy Paul, and this is the Artist Spotlight. And we're going to jump right into it. But before we do, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you're a subscriber, and also hit that notification bell so you'll know when we upload more exciting content just like this. I'm going to tell you up front, this video is kind of long. But this video is chock full of magic. It has a magic tutorial and the story is really good. So go all the way to the end, because if you get to the end, there's actually a bonus section. So that's cool too. Anyway, we'll see you on the flip side. And this is Artist Spotlight, the Magic Buzz.
Who is the Magic Buzz? And more importantly, is he more than these rubber band tricks we always see him doing? That's what we're going to get down to today on Paul Does Magic, Artist Spotlight. Yeah, so all joking aside, I do a lot more than just rubber band magic. In fact, I started magic when I was 7 years old. So now I'm 53, and if you do the math, anyway, it's a lot of territory to cover. So I thought the easiest thing to do to help you get a little bit of an idea of what the Magic Buzz is all about is just to sort of answer a few questions that I get asked often. The first of which, of course, is when did I get started in magic? And that was, and how, of course, and that was because of the Amateur Magician's Handbook. This was a book that my father got me. It was used at the time even. I think it was printed in the 60s. And he put it in my stocking at Christmas, and man, I was hooked. I was hooked. It was this book that did it. This book covered a little bit of everything, and it really kicked me off on my way. Yeah, so no, of course, another common question is, how far back do you go in magic? And I can give you a couple of examples. Let's have a look at them. So, how about these to date me? That's right, that's the Statue of Liberty, David Copperfield era. These are the original business cards from when I was about 10 years old. And I would do this trick everywhere. In fact, well, I'll save that for after. This is how the trick went. You would allow the spectator to sign one of the cards like that, and then you'd simply have them take the card and place it under their hand and just get rid of the rest of the cards. Do your best David Copperfield motions, and boom, the Statue of Liberty would have disappeared. Anyway, if that doesn't date me, I don't know what does. So a second thing that should date how long I've been doing magic for is, that's right, Timothy Wank's Misled, as performed by none other than David Copperfield on TV. This is the actual package that I got it in when I was like 12 years old. It was 25 bucks then, which was a lot of money at the time. This was huge, and this is a trick that I think still holds up to this day. It was so good. At least it does to me. This was the chance for me to do magic that had been performed live on TV within the recent past, and I could brag about that when I performed this trick for people, that I was doing just like David Copperfield. The other neat thing about it, and maybe I'll perform it for you in case you haven't seen it. The other neat thing about it to me that's always remained an important aspect of magic is, I think that it's an example of close-up magic that crosses over to stage magic, in that it's an illusion. Especially at the time, it was different than the cards and the coins and the ropes and stuff that I was doing with sleight of hand. Anyway, if you haven't seen it, you won't really know what I mean, so I'll show it to you. Basically, it's the old pencil through the bill trick. Now, of course, it is kind of dated because it uses a pencil, and who uses a pencil anymore? But the effect is still strong, even though it's quite simple. So I have a bill here, and I've been doing this trick so long that the material that we make bills out of now here in Canada has changed in that time. So I've had to change my handling of it a bit. But I've been able to sort of use the fact that this is a polymer as part of the storyline. So here goes. So Canadian bills are made of this funny material, it's polymer, but it's really resilient to tears, and it's almost self-repairing. I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to take this pencil and fold the bill in half like that, and I'm going to poke the sharp point right through the middle of the bill, right through that section. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, you're not actually going to poke it through the bill. You wouldn't ruin your bill. But if you watch very, very closely, right in that point, if I give this pencil a really good shove, if it's right up against the crease inside, and then I give it a good shove like that, you'll see that it just pops right through. It almost melts through. And if I give the bill a tear, just like that, if I do it fast enough, you'll see that there's no holes or tears. Okay, so that's sort of what you would expect from that routine, but what really pushed it over the edge was this. The second part of the routine, and an interesting thing is that David Copperfield actually altered the handling of this, which I think really turned it into something special because it allowed him to slow the effect down. So the second part of the routine was to show that you could do it through the entire center of the bill. That is, not just poking and tearing, but that you could make the pencil sort of melt right through this section here, right through the whole bottom of the bill. So basically the pencil was cradled in the bill, and you would show that it was cradled like this, and then just slowly but surely melt the pencil right through the bill like that. Anyway, neat trick. Like I said, I think it still holds up to this day. It could be updated. I think there's ways to update it, and a few people have tried to update it, but just an amazing trick. Now, of course, everybody asks, can you teach me a trick? And I will teach a couple of tricks on this video. One's more about routining, and one's an actual neat little trick that I've been doing since I was very young that I don't see done anymore. So it uses a little bit of sleight of hand, use a little bit of gimmickry, and I'll teach that a little bit later. So try to stick with me. So of course the next most common question is, how did I get started in rubber bands? And you know, I haven't been doing rubber bands that long. But what really resurged it for me was two things. One was seeing Danny Urbanis do the Lazy Man's penetrations with the Sharpie. I thought that was a really good eye opener for me about rubber band magic, that it could be more than just something that was snappy and quick. You could use the principles of the rubber band, you know, what it's capable of, but apply them in a way that allowed bands to look like an illusion. It sort of woke me up to band magic. And then we went into lockdown, and during the quarantine I had lots of time to study band magic, and you know, it really has been easily translated onto video. So that's what I'm best known for. I can actually show you the Lazy Man's penetration. Just let me turn the camera around so I can make sure that you can see it well, in case you haven't seen it. So this is a great effect using just one simple elastic. And I think one of the things that's really cool about it is a suggestion Danny makes on the download, that you don't just have to use a Sharpie, you can use something like a knife. And I like using a knife. You know, imagine you're at a dinner party or a restaurant or something like that, and you grab one of the steak knives and stretch out your elastic. Then when you're doing the move, what's happening is people are expecting the blade, you know, to cut through the elastic and the elastic to go shooting off into your eye, but instead the blade just sort of guides right down through the elastic like that cleanly. And, you know, you're left very, very simple and clean. It's just a great effect. Yeah, I think one of the tougher band moves to get the look right, but it looks great when you get it, is Tornado by Joe Rindfleisch. You basically just have the band around your fingers, and what you're trying to do is get it to shoot off here and jump around your thumb like something like this. Anyway, when it gets really going around there, it looks fantastic, but it doesn't often really get around there, so I'm still working on it. So my favorite band effect, I'd have to say it's still one called, I think it's called Touch. Basically, you're just taking a band and putting it around your hand, and then you can use a spectator's hand or their cell phone. The cell phone thing is very popular, or even a deck of cards, or I could use a wallet here. So basically, you're just placing the object on top of the band like that, and then with a little snap of the fingers, it jumps right onto the object. I think that's pretty much my favorite band trick. Okay, so here's my little routine that I'm working on just in the early stages. I'm hoping that it's going to be a magician fooler, so I thought maybe if I could get some feedback at this point, you know, it could really help flush it out. So you let me know, if you can, the pros and cons of what you see. It's basically just a rubber band and ring routine. Now, I don't typically wear a ring because I find it gets in the way of my sleight of hand, but I do carry one with me on my chain, and not for sentimental reasons, but you know, for lesson number one, I think, of doing ring and band work, you need something you can really see. You know, it's hard to see bands and rings even up close because everything happens so quick. Maybe that explains why band and ring work isn't all that popular. I don't know, but I think it helps because you'd be surprised. Like, I use a black ring and a white band because that way when I do the ring on the band routine, it's really obvious that the band is actually in the ring. Like, I'm not cheating, it's actually in there, so that when it penetrates, it seems all the more amazing. You'd be surprised how many people say, well, there's no way the band was actually in the ring. Now, some of you might be thinking, I know how you did that, but here's the reason why I think it could be a magician fooler. I don't actually use the method that most people do. I take advantage of my strong fingers from doing a lot of rubber band magic to sort of squeeze the ring under cover of this hand when I put it on my finger before I thread it on the band. You see, what that allows me to do is sort of squeeze it down till I have 4 corners. You see, I get 4 corners there, but I keep that hidden behind these fingers. And with 4 corners, what that allows me to do is actually thread the band right inside the ring there, so it's in there tight. But because there's 4 corners, it's really easy to sort of just sneak the band sort of around those corners and just sort of bite through like that. And then if you're careful, you can squeeze the ring sort of. Now, this part's a little bit harder to explain, but if you're careful, you're basically squeezing the ring back into shape before they see it again. And that's a bunch of bullshit. Okay, so that's the routine. The routine is to lead you down the garden path. Do let me know if you think it's any good. I do this when magicians ask me to do something with a rubber band. I do this as a joke, and then I say, you know, the whole thing was an illusion. The ring was never actually even there. The ring was on my chain at all times. You know, it never left my chain, and it usually gets a laugh. So that's that. Okay, let me teach you a little trick I've been doing my whole life, and and it's a great little routine. It always kills. It's got a few nice elements to it. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to bet someone you can read their mind, and you deliberately pull your wallet out of your pocket. That's important. Have the money in your wallet. Don't just have it ready like it's a gimmick and you do this all the time. Pull your wallet out, and as you start talking about this mind-reading bet, you're looking through your wallet and you choose a bill like a 20. Not a 50 or 100, then it just seems like a goof. But you want something to be on the line. You want to pull out something like a 20. And you're going to pick a spectator in the group that's sort of reluctant to be part of the whole thing. You'll see why later. And you get them to hold the money, and you don't really necessarily have to tell them right up front, but you're going to read their mind. They're suddenly drawn into it because they accept the money, but you don't allude initially to the fact that they're the ones you're going to bet. You wait till they take the money, and then you say, okay, so if I can't read your mind, you get to keep the money, and now they're kind of stuck in it. So you pause at this point and stop the babbling and look down at your other pocket and pull out a deck of cards. You don't say anything. You just start pulling out the deck of cards. And this is where you get some groans and you can get some laughs, because if you were a real mind reader, why would you need a deck of cards, right? So, you know, you can make any comments you want at this point, but basically you want them to choose a card. Now, you can't choose a card out of the deck right here, because, you know, you can't actually touch it. So what I'll do is I'll just riffle through the deck, and you peek at one of the cards, not the one in the face, but just one of the cards in the deck, and that's the card we'll use for this. So just have a quick little look here. Okay, I don't know if you saw one. I'll do it quick again like that. I hope you saw it the second time. So once they have the card chosen, you want to immediately go back to the deck. You want to put it away in the box deliberately and put it back in your pocket. That's important. So now you're completely clean, and immediately launch into a couple of guesses that are correct, just sort of close and correct. Like, I see a card, it's not a high card, it's a lower card, but not as low as a 2 or a 3. And then suddenly take a left turn and say something like, and it's definitely a black card. And then watch how they react and decide exactly kind of where you want to snake this part of it that you're going to play it up. Because this is basically the meat of the routine, where you're sort of playing up this portion of it. You make another correct guess, but still incorrect, like it's black, but it's not a spade, it's a club, which is true, but it's not black at all, if you see where I'm going with that. So basically, you sort of milk this section of it until the audience is getting just a tad bit bored. And then you got to talk the person, and this is the fun person, you got to talk them into giving you the money back. And you want people in the group commenting on, oh, welching on the bet and that sort of thing. And you use excuses like, no, I just need to feel the money and get the energy off of it that got transferred to it when you were choosing the card. Like, whatever BS you come up with. The worse the patter, the better, because you do want it to seem like you're welching on the bet. And in fact, you reach in your pocket and you pull your wallet out, and people are ready to walk away at this point. Don't be shy to build the tension here, because what you're going to do is you're going to put the bill back in your wallet, and then you're going to come back out with a smaller denomination. And make sure you put your wallet back in your pocket the same way deliberately. And now they're kind of wondering, well, he's not going to welch, but he's going to bet less money in you. And that's where you come up with a silly story about, well, you can't really afford to lose that much money, but you don't want to be a complete welch. You still want to follow through on this. And you know, as a kid, I used to say, I'm just learning, give me a break, and that kind of thing. And then basically, that's the end of it. You don't want to milk it much farther than that. You basically want to make another maybe close guess and then a wrong guess, or just go right into a wrong guess and then say, I guess I'm going to have to, you know, pay up. And you go to hand them the money, and it turns into the card that they chose. Now, obviously, you can't hand this card out, but you can end clean very easily by going, oh, would you look at that? That's lucky. I guess I get to keep my money. And you go back to your pocket where your wallet was. And once you're in there, you come out with a clean card that matches and say, oh, wait a minute, you know, it's not money. You know, do you want my signature so that you can have it and you knew me when I was famous, or something like that. But you can come back out with a clean card and give it to them from your pocket. So So that's basically the trick, and obviously all there is to it is you force a card. Now in this case, I forced the card with a typical little riffle force. I actually like to use that live just because it's very quick and clean and you're in and out quick. I don't do a riffle and a stop. I basically just have like 12 6 of diamonds at the top of the deck. You know, and that way you can just kind of riffle quick and they only get to see a 6, so it doesn't miss. I let them see a few other cards maybe the first time, and then, you know, they're probably, if they look like they're not sure that they saw a card, I do it again and make sure they really see the 6 the second time. You'd be amazed how well that works, because it's very quick and clean, and there's no funny business with sleight of hand on the force. I would encourage you to use the riffle force for this, because it's quick and clean and you can get the cards out of play again, which is important, because when you put the cards back in the box and in your pocket, at least that way they don't think that you just sort of use sleight of hand to crumple up the bill and give them a real card, because you do come back with a clean card that you offer to sign and that sort of thing. So the way they remember it might be that you just sort of switch the bill for a card. So you want to be clean at the point when you pull out the gaff. And the gaff is very, of course, simple to build. It's just a split card with money stuck to the inside of it, obviously. Now, Canadian money, you have to trim it, unfortunately. American money fits on a card pretty well. But I've never had anybody say anything about the fact that the money was trimmed, because at this point you're just kidding around. It's a good joke when you pull out a smaller denomination, and they're not even really thinking about the money at this point. They're thinking you're just making a joke and wondering where you're going with it. And it is a huge surprise. Like when you suddenly come and show them that the money turned into the card, they're like, whoa, and you're like, whoa. And make sure you show your hands empty. Make sure you show both sides of the gaff. They're not going to inspect it anyway. By the time they want to, you're going back to your pocket and coming back with the other card. Now, one thing I will encourage you is don't split the card. Like, I split the cards and I find that they're not strong enough to hold their position. Here's the original one I made when I was a kid, and it still holds up. This is when Canada still had $2 bills. This is just 2 actual cards, you know, and it holds up really well. It's stiff. It seems to do the trick quite well. So you're just building it like that. You're just sticking it on with like Pritt stick, right? 2 cards, sort of lines up with where the pip is here. You can see that. Anyway, very simple gaff, very simple trick. Sells really well. I suggest you give it a try. You'd be surprised how well received it is. Okay, so first off, I just want to say thanks for sticking with me this far. I don't know how much I hyped this up, because I haven't recorded the intro to this yet. But really, if you're a magician, do me a big favor. Just take a deep breath. Forget about all that really fast Instagram stuff and TikTok and that. Try to really enjoy this. Because what's important is this looks exactly the way it's supposed to look. My hands are clean. They're ungimmicked. They're completely clean. There's no spool. My sleeves are up. And basically, it's exactly as it should be. You're just taking a thread, a long length of thread with magical properties. And anyone who knows this method will agree with me. There's probably nothing like this. Basically, you can put whatever story you want with it, but it's breaking this gypsy thread that is magical into little sections. Nothing more than that. That's simple. Just breaking it into sections, one at a time. No doubt that it's actually being destroyed, just like that. And then taking the sections and, of course, rolling them up in a little ball and sticking them on to this piece like that. Just getting a really good squeeze, and then, of course, the thread restores like true magic. I hope you enjoyed my little bio. let's keep it magical. Peace out, the Magic Buzz.
Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that. That is known as the Magic Buzz. So make sure you go over and hit him up on Instagram. If you don't already follow him on YouTube, he's the Magic Buzz. And I don't know if he's got Facebook or anything else, but if he does, it'll all be in the description below. So we'll see you guys next time. This was the Artist Spotlight, the Magic Buzz.